first day at Melbourne Footy Club. How's it feel to get out on the track?
Yeah, it was good. Nice hot day in Melbourne, so it was good to get out there and meet most of the boys, because obviously I went away for a while, so I hadn't met some of the boys, but it was good to meet everyone this morning and get out there in 30-degree weather and run around. It was good.
A few nerves?
I was probably more excited than anything. I guess when you've already done it before, coming to a club, I guess you're used to it and you know what to expect. So I was probably more excited than nervous. But once I got out on the track and started running, I got a bit nervous. But after that, I was fine.
Is there a bit of relief, Jake, as well, that saga's all over now behind you?
Yeah, absolutely. It was probably a good thing I was overseas for 6 weeks right after the grand final. I sort of escaped it all, and it was obviously probably a hard time for my family and me when I read it, and my fiance obviously over in Europe. But it's finally over now, and day one, moving on.
Has it been a clean break for you from Adelaide, or have you had to try and patch things up with anyone there, or are you just clean breaking now from?
Oh yeah, look, I keep in contact with my teammates and some of the coaching staff. But obviously with the things that happened, it was probably a bit of a heat of the moment. But yeah, I keep in contact with my mates that were at the club. That I'll keep in contact forever, because you build relationships over the 3 years that I was there that you can't replace.
Would you do anything differently in leaving? I suppose a lot of talk about the best and fairest. The Adelaide say that you were welcome. What exactly happened there?
So I got a phone call from Brett Burton on the Thursday, and he asked me if I was going to come, and probably then I hadn't made up my mind just with how everything was going, and then he sort of cut in and said that that's what he was ringing me for. He advised me not to come. So I was probably a bit disappointed, but with how everything turned out that week, it was probably the best thing, and I wanted to be there with me mates, but after everything happened throughout the week, it was probably the best thing.
Did you sense any tension amongst your teammates later in the year that's been suggested?
No, I definitely didn't. I hadn't made a decision by then, and obviously in the media it was floated around, but I think some things get thrown out there and people bite onto it. But yeah, definitely not any tension or anything, because I'm still close mates with a lot of them, and I'm sure I'm close enough mates with them. If they did have a problem, they would have come up and spoke to me.
Did you really ditch the Adelaide gear in the bin?
It's quite funny. It was actually an old bag, and it was actually broken, but I did throw the old bag in the bin. But yeah, look, that was a bit of a funny one. I was sitting on Kyle Hartigan's couch the night that it was on the news, and it was actually on mute, and I was looking there and seeing me at the tip and thought, that's probably not a good story. But yeah, it was quite funny. But yeah, look, it was a broken bag, but I guess the guy that caught it, he did pretty well, didn't he?
What about yourself and Tex? Have you patched things up at all?
Oh, look, I think that Tex thing sort of got blown out of proportion a little bit. I didn't really, have a problem with him, and I'm fine with Tex. The phone call, I think he was disappointed, as he should be, and he's a captain of the club, and he probably doesn't want people leaving his football club, and he's a passionate person, passionate player. But look, he texted me congratulations for my engagement. After I flew out to Europe, and I sent him a message back, and that's from where I've heard from him. But look, I'm sure if I catch up with him in the future, there's not going to be too much problems.
What's it like losing a grand final and then leaving? Do you sort of reflect on the game much, or do you move on from it?
Oh, look, you probably reflect on it all the time, because just how disappointed you were. I was just, I guess when you're playing throughout the year, you got no other thoughts other than winning a premiership for the team that you're playing for then. And obviously it was a disappointing day, for a lot of our players. For the Adelaide Footy Club, it was disappointing, and I guess now it's all about putting the fire in the belly now, and coming over to Melbourne and sharing my experiences. I know obviously I'm only young, but playing finals footy, I think I can bring some experience to the team, and really drive the team, because obviously Melbourne last year missed out on finals and almost fell over at the last hurdle. So I'm sure that all the boys are speaking to them now, they're pretty pumped about getting into pre-season and not letting that happen again. So I'm equally as fired up and ready to go.
As an outsider looking in, what did you like about why Melbourne? I guess coming back to Victoria is obvious for family reasons, but why Melbourne?
Yeah, look, I think the age demographic sort of fits where I'm at. 21-year-old. You look at the guys between 20 and 22. There's Hogan, Oliver, Petrarca, Wiedemann. These sort of guys are phenomenal players already at AFL level, and Jack Viney's a captain. He's 23, I think. So look, I'm just excited to be here because of that, and I guess the style of footy that Melbourne plays pretty exciting, and I guess that's what brings fans to the game, and that's what you love playing in front of big crowds, and you love playing exciting footy.
Melbourne's made a significant investment in you. Do you feel that weight of expectation to hit the ground running?
Oh, I don't think so. I think obviously the contract and all that's been talked about in the media, but for me it's just about coming in and trying to help this team be great. And that's what we want to do, and I'm just excited to get started, and I don't think that's going to weigh on me.
When did you actually make up your mind then? A lot of speculation, people saying that you'd maybe even checked out during the season, but it was a late call.
Yeah, it was a late call, so I was obviously after the grand final that I told the club, and I guess you do think about it during the year, but you never come to a final decision, and in the end for myself and my fiancée Jess, we were pretty keen to soon, start a family. I know it's pretty scary saying that as a 21-year-old, but and the support network that my mum and dad and Jess's mum and dad, having Victoria, I think that was a big factor. But then obviously, you've got to also think that football is your life, is your job, is your passion. So you have to make the decision on that as well.
How tough was last year for you? I mean, you're only a young player. You're living in a fishbowl in Adelaide where your future's talked about every week. How difficult was that at times?
Oh, I think it was difficult at times because you go down to a local cafe and your head's on the front page of the newspaper. But I guess as a young guy, you had blokes at the Adelaide Footy Club that were in similar positions. Either it was a year ago or a couple of years ago. So you sort of bounced ideas off them. So it's kind of you have to get people's help, but I tried to not read too much because if you do, you get caught up in it. And obviously did a radio gig every second week, so I always knew that I was going to get asked every week about it. And it was more just about, the decision in the end was going to be myself and my fiancée making that, and in the end I just had to sort of move it aside while I was playing footy for Adelaide and hoping to win a premiership, which obviously didn't happen.
What sort of reception do you think you'll get later in the year when you get back over there?
I expect a few boos, but I guess it's about embracing it, I think. The crowd and the players are obviously going to get right into me, but I think I'm the type of person that doesn't mind having a laugh out in the field, and I'm sure Tex Walker's he'll probably try and whack me around the ear, but all in a bit of fun. And in the end, I'm mates with a lot of these guys, so if I wasn't going to get any stick, I'd be pretty disappointed.
What about Tex? Have you spoken to Tex?
So I just mentioned that before. He sent me a text message to congratulate me on my engagement, and just text him back, but that's about it. So, I kept in contact with some of my close mates at the club. So I've done that. But look, I said before, me and Tex catch up for a beer maybe in a couple of years. I'm sure there's not going to be too many problems.
What was more nerve-wracking, telling Tex or getting down on the one knee and popping the question?
I think, I thought it was telling Tex, but then I got down on one knee and I was shaking. I nearly fell over. So, I reckon it was getting down on the one knee.
Having the whole group together today, Jake, was there a rallying call or a message that resonated from Goody to kick off the summer? Oh,
look, I think the big thing is that we want to move on from last year. Obviously, it was extremely disappointing with what happened, but I think it's just about moving on, and 2018 is a new season, and we're about making this Melbourne football team great again.
And how much training do you reckon you'll do early? How are you going to work into the summer?
Yeah, so obviously I think it's 6 or 7 weeks from the grand final, so I haven't had as much as break as some of the guys. So I was in the rehab group today. Not sure it was really the rehab group. I was running around a fair bit, but it was good to be back in Australia because I only got back on Wednesday, and it was good to be running around in Melbourne and nice sunny day. So hopefully in a week or so I'll be back with the main group.
Did you speak to Jack Gunston at all when you were making your decision?
No, I didn't speak to Jack Gunston.
Did you say you heard his advice or anything like that?
Yes, I did. I think, what did he say? Stuff the haters or something like that. But yeah, like I read that article. But obviously Jack was over in Adelaide when I wasn't there. So I've only met Jack a couple of times through sort of mutual friends, but never spoke to him about anything like that.